I just want to sort of preface this with the meaning of what biases is. An unconscious bias is a disproportionate weight in favor of or against an idea or thing, which is usually in the way that is closed-minded, prejudicial. It's a very big word for me, prejudicial, or unfair. Biases can be innate or learned. Very important to know that they innate in us, or they can be learned. And people may develop biases for or against an individual, a group, or a belief. In science and engineering, a bias is a systematic error, right? And I think that is such a good way to sort of preface it, so that we can understand that a bias is the thing that humans do instinctively. And if you're human, you have a bias. You may not be aware of the bias, completely unconscious. But essentially, it is about, we all have biases. So to kick it off, Anya, what is a bias and when are we not biased?
So I was listening to that formal definition that you've shared with us, and I thought, okay, let me see if I can position it in a different way. So to the question, when are we not biased? I have to say never. I think we're always biased. And as you say, Kevin, sometimes we're just not conscious about that. So I think whenever we talk about this topic of biases, I think it's that awareness that we create is the first step. That's not the only step, but I think it's an important one. So when you mention biases, where I actually use the concept of biases even more than in my HR career was when I started to support businesses to be more agile. And especially from a leadership perspective, to understand how those biases might influence us. And I think for me then, when I think of a bias, it's a mental model. And what is a mental model? As you said, it's those engraved either stories or assumptions or beliefs that we have about the world. And I think, as you've mentioned, the bias it's almost like that automatic tool that we need to navigate this complex world that we live in. So that in short, for me, is what a bias is all about.